rest of that. All right, there we go. Live on the show.
Are we live?
With JD and Bo. Check out my ill flow.
Are we live?
We're live.
See, this is why you can get away with this kind of stuff because, like, you're already married.
But
See,
you know better. That's
I haven't set the hook yet. Yeah. You know, I gotta. I mean, there's like dignity and stuff that I've got to preserve.
Whatever, man. The ladies, they're all about being able to.
They love that '90s rap.
Bust a rhyme.
Bust a rhyme.
Stick it with the flow ill. What? That didn't make any sense. That didn't.
Just
all of our listeners who are deep into hip hop are like, no, Bo, just stop.
Just make it stop. I'm loading my pipe here, so hold on. Give me a minute.
Yeah.
As I get the old. I'm smoking my Bing's favorite tonight, rusticated pipe with one of my favorite tobaccos, Vowin Tobacco number 14.
Right on.
It's real clean, bright Virginia tobacco.
And I am working the mics.
And where's your scotch?
Well, we don't want a repeat of last week.
Do you? I thought last week was fine.
You didn't do the editing on the audio. It's all fun and dandy until Uncle Bo puts the microphone backwards. He's been hitting the scotch a little too much.
Oh, Bo.
Let's see. I think we shall put this right here. And I need to make my views go in. So this is the great thing. This is why you tune in live, is because you get to see the pre-show. And that's the thing. Back in the day, and maybe we'll get to this place again, but back when we were doing it at the home studio, we got to the point where when we went live, we started the show. Like we were just that professional.
No, yeah.
Now we're back to the.
You get to see all our shtick.
Yeah, back to the beginning on this one. But that's all right. I would imagine that to some extent you tune in for the live show because you like kind of the rustication, if you will.
You stole that word from me.
Did I?
I just said rusticated pipe.
Oh, did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, there it was.
Okay.
It's in the back of my mind. That's how these things work. Who knows how ideas get planted? Wasn't there an entire movie dedicated to that, where people got incepted?
Were they in? They were incepted.
They were incepted.
Is that what happened?
Yeah. Oh man! All right, I am ready. I think when you are. Although, let me ask you this question before we start the show officially. Do you want to do? Did you see the thing about Spurgeon's pipe?
I saw you posted on. Facebook.
Cool. Try not to blow the smoke directly into the mic.
Sure.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, and I've got a link, so I'll pull it up if you're interested. I got that on the show notes. But I think we're good to get started.
Let's do it.
Welcome to Country Squire Radio. I'm Bo.
And I'm John David.
Hey,
Bo. Good evening, man.
Man, good evening to you, sir.
Live at the Country Squire.
That's right. Yet again, and fortunately, things are running smoothly. If all goes according to plan, that means that while you're listening to this podcast, you are hearing crystal clean audio. And I am not hanging my head in shame as I'm editing this tomorrow.
Well, the night's young.
Well, this is true. Look, we mentioned it last week, but of course we had a little bit of hiccup audio-wise. Got everything all worked out, and that should not be the case tonight. So we should have a wonderful show. And man, we have got a wonderful show.
Yeah, excited about tonight.
I've been looking forward to it, man. I just got back from a little bit of a road trip. I went to Oxford, Mississippi.
Okay.
Home of one very famous pipe smoker.
That's right.
Mr. William Faulkner.
What, the one and only.
Now, I don't know if you know this, because, I mean, I know that you're more Bulldog territory.
Yeah, sure.
Back in the
more Starkville-centric than Oxford-centric.
And who's that famous intellectual that came out of Starkville? Oh, you know what? Never mind. That's right. I'm sorry. There were none.
You know, John Grisham, before he went to Ole Miss Law School, actually got his undergraduate degree at Mississippi State.
That's right. Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't.
He's actually written poetry about Mississippi State.
Well, you know, in great adversity, that's where a lot of our art form comes from. So that makes sense.
Right.
I don't even know.
Make it stop.
I have no love for the SEC in any form or fashion. I just like to.
You went to like a Baptist school.
Oh, let's not bring that up.
Let's go Choctaws, man.
Oh my gosh. we try to cover up that past.
Our homecoming's like when we got to play the Methodists or something.
Actually, that's
y'all
accurate.
Talk like that at Mississippi College, right?
I mean,
that's how you speak.
A little bit.
Man.
This is good. No, but anyway, bringing it back, I was up at Oxford and I had a great time in the square. Beautiful city.
Real pretty town.
And see, I've never taken note of this before, but in the square, there's actually a statue of William Faulkner.
Is he holding his pipe?
He's holding his pipe.
Yeah. So if I'm remembering correctly, it's like right in front of the courthouse, I think.
Yeah.
And there's a bronze statue of Faulkner sitting on a bench.
That's right.
And he's got his arm kind of around the side of the bench, and he's holding his Dunhill pipe.
Man,
yeah,
and it's cool because we were walking in the square. I saw this thing, and I mean, I've been to the square a couple of times. I don't go to Oxford all that much because, again, I'm just not big into SEC football. But we were there doing a kind of a getaway, walking through.
Yeah.
Noticed he's sitting there holding his pipe. I happened to be also holding my pipe. So I jumped the fence, sat on the statue. The bench is technically part of the statue.
Were you? No, I mean it is.
Yeah.
Did you defile the Faulkner statue?
No, because I actually smoked my pipe sitting there next to Faulkner.
Smoking his pipe.
I don't think that's defiling at all. I think it's christening.
Okay.
Blessing.
It was a blessing. It was a blessing. You honored it. How about that?
That's good. That's good. I paid my respects.
That's very good. William Faulkner, of course, one of the most famous pipe smokers in the 20th century.
Absolutely.
And Mississippi author. He's actually born in New Albany, actually, which is just kind of to the northeast of Oxford up there. New Albany is a beautiful little town. Dated a girl from there in college. Really, really kind people. The fair and friendly city, as they call it, or as they would say, the fair and friendly city.
That sounded a little bit more Georgia.
That's just that Tidewater accent.
See, this is a funny thing. A lot of our listeners, especially those not from the South, are listening to you attempt to do a Southern accent.
And they're thinking like, these people are, have some kind of issues.
Well, no, they just recognize how deep of a Southern accent you already have.
Yeah, it's really bad, isn't it?
I love it, man.
It's really bad. Yep.
All right. Well, there's that. I wanted to kind of make mention of that, but I also wanted to make mention of some other stuff we got going on. Now, we mentioned it last week, but we want to re-mention it again. We've got a bit of a contest going on. Now, the great thing is, if you're listening to this podcast, welcome. Thank you for doing so. But we do also do this podcast live.
Yeah.
Now, we know the vast majority of you don't actually tune in live, and that's fine. That's okay. But we want to still encourage you to check out our brand new YouTube channel, which is dedicated to the live broadcast. You can actually see the full, unedited, mistakes and all, warts and all, from our YouTube channel, as well as some additional content, which I'll talk about in a moment.
Right.
And so what we want you to do, head over to countrysquireradio.com, click on that YouTube link, and subscribe to our new YouTube channel. Now, what you'll need to do, of course, is let us know that you've done this by tweeting us at Squire Radio, letting us know that you have subscribed to the YouTube channel. And that will put you in the running for not 1, but 2 ounces of Country Squire tobacco.
What unit of measurement is the tobacco?
2 ounces of tobacco.
Ounces of tobacco.
2 ounces of tobacco.
Okay, because Wes Brown definitely was interested in his if he was up for the 2 pounds that last week got misintroduced.
Again, we are from Mississippi, and I can't do math.
Man,
so.
I'm just saying, like pound, ounce. How many pounds does it cost to take a? I don't know.
Don't even know enough math to do the joke.
I can't even finish the joke. Like that's how pitiful we are.
That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But anyway, so again, countrysquireradio.com, click on the YouTube channel, subscribe to us. Let us know you did that on Twitter. Get your name in the running. We are going to announce that at the end of the month, I believe is what I said, at the end of November. So definitely go ahead and do that today. Now, I mentioned there's additional content on there.
Yeah.
The first new additional content is actually a recording that I did, a Periscope, while we were here for the long smoke competition.
Oh yeah, that was just like a week and a half ago.
Yeah. So
great.
For the most of it, the entirety, after I got my pipe lit, I set up a Periscope and basically live recorded myself during the entire long smoke competition.
That's right.
Including, my eventual defeat, and then also me kind of poking a little bit of fun at the person who went out first and took my mantle of the worst pipe smoker in the state.
You say defeat. I mean, you beat your record by last year by a long shot. You beat your record, I think, in New Orleans by a little bit, right?
13 seconds.
Oh, about 13 seconds. Yeah, well done. But in the words of Ricky Bobby, if you're not first, you're last.
I mean,
So you just got a little ways to go.
There's a point to that, but
says the guy that didn't compete because he was judging, and I'm really good at judging.
And last time he did compete, I beat you. Yeah, no, yeah,
right, all that.
But you can check it out. So that's on our YouTube channel right now. So it's about 20 minutes long because, like I said, it is the full width of it. I'm talking to some people around me, and then also talking to some people that messaged in during the Periscope. So if you're interested at all in seeing what a long smoke competition looks like, check that out. We also had some live music that's featured on that as well.
Pretty cool. And actually, in the near future too, Bo, that long strong smoke blend that I actually whipped up just for the contest. It was popular enough that people really wanted to see it as a Country Squire mainstay.
That's right.
And so in the near future, we will be you'll be able to order that on our website, which is great at thecountrysquireonline.com. We haven't named it yet. We had people submit names.
I was going to ask you about that.
I had to throw out all the ones that were not CSR friendly, like work language.
Sure, a lot of South Park kids.
Some of our degenerate friends. But anyway, but you will be able to smoke that yourself very soon.
Very cool, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that for sure. Yep. Hey, I can't remember if we mentioned this or not, but the BBC's Sherlock.
Yeah.
Okay, so we actually did an entire episode based on Sherlock Holmes as part of our archives, and we discussed a lot of Sherlock throughout the history, but we also made a brief reference of this amazing television show that's available to the BBC of Sherlock, and it's a modern take on Sherlock Holmes, but unfortunately, their modern take on Sherlock Holmes is that he does not smoke a pipe, which is quite frustrating. However, they do have coming up their Victorian special.
Okay.
Where they will it'll be the same actors and the same portrayal of the characters, but put them in the Victorian era. And yes, it was confirmed, and this was confirmed a while back, but he will be smoking a pipe. So I say that to say I think what we're going to do here is something similar that we've done in the past.
Okay.
If you recall, when the final Hobbit movie came out, we kind of had an episode dedicated to the Hobbit movie.
Yeah.
And on kind of the Hobbit franchise and a little bit of Peter Jackson and just kind of, what his impact to the pipe smoking community of the modern era,
which has been frankly substantial.
Actually, absolutely. And so what we want to do is when this episode comes out and when it's available here in the United States, because, weirdness with across the pond television and whatnot. But once
the old time dilation.
Once it is available, we will watch it and kind of do a review and maybe even talk a little bit about the Sherlock series as a whole, and maybe what good it's done for kind of Sherlockians.
Sure.
And also maybe challenge some of the thoughts about pipes that they have challenged in that show. Subtly, mind you, but definitely there. So if it's
a conversation worth having.
Absolutely. So if you're a fan of that show, this is your notice. Go ahead and go back, rewatch those and get ready for when that comes out. And if you've never watched it before, now's a good chance. And it's addictive. So once you watch that first episode, it's like every single episode's a movie.
Right.
Have you watched any of it?
No, I haven't.
This is your notice.
Yeah. No, right.
But it's so good. It's just absolutely fantastic. We've got a plane flying over right now and cops driving by. So
it's just the sounds of Jackson.
That's right.
Home,
no, put your hands down, please.
Home sweet home.
Absolutely. All right, man. Last but not least.
Right.
I don't know if you saw this on Twitter or Instagram, I guess it was. The Instaslam.
No, what are you talking about?
You're big in the Instagram.
Instaslam? Is it?
That's what my sister calls it.
Is that a? Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're not referring to something called Instaslam. You're just making fun of people like me that use Instaslam.
No, not making fun of it at all.
Right. Not at all.
Look, I'm the weird one. I'm not on there, and everybody else is.
Right.
And among other reasons, I'm the weird one.
What is on Instaslam, Bo?
All right, so this is great. So somebody posted this out, and it's a picture of Charles Spurgeon's pipe.
That's really cool.
And
beautiful meerschaum pipe, big old egg-looking pipe.
Well loved, man.
Yeah, very well loved. Charles Spurgeon, of course, the very well known. He was called the Prince of Preachers. Actually, he was one of the best known evangelical preachers in the 1800s, and so a lot of modern day theologians kind of look to him for inspiration and things like that. But man, avid lover of tobacco, and dude, look at that. He wore that pipe out.
Well, from reports, this pipe has actually been donated by the Spurgeon family to the Midwest Seminary. So pretty sweet stuff. We've reached out trying to see if we might be able to have somebody maybe come on and talk to us a little bit about this pipe.
Yeah.
Should be pretty awesome. So, cross your fingers there. If you happen to be connected with somebody, let us know, because we would love to actually make that happen.
Find a Baptist seminarian that wants to go on record talking about tobacco.
But it's Spurgeon. It's Spurgeon.
That's the thing. Yeah, what are you going to do? Like, it's kind of like arguing with St. Paul. Like, you don't do that. You just let Paul win.
Well, see,
it's Spurgeon.
They posted it. I think they actually retweeted it, which is how I noticed it. And I figure if they're actually letting people know that they've got this on record,
yeah,
to some extent, that's an endorsement.
I'm fair. Right. Yeah, that's fair game.
They're going to question Spurgeon? Really? You know?
Don't do that. You just don't do that. And he had a stellar beard too. That's the thing. Like Spurgeon had a big old beard.
Absolutely.
Big old beard.
You know, that actually reminds me of one last thing before we dive into tonight's topic.
Yeah.
The other night I was just, I was trying to get our YouTube channel working correctly and kind of trying to make it look like a legitimate YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of tell which ones are good and which ones are not so good. And right now we're somewhere in between, but if I'm being honest. But I noticed, I did a search for Country Squire Radio, and it turns out that a couple of you guys talk about us a lot on YouTube, which I did not realize. We've made mention before of people in the past, and kind of given some shout outs. But I'm going to try to be a little bit better about that, especially on Facebook. So as you guys are talking about us on YouTube, especially if you let them know that about the new YouTube channel, we'll be trying to share that out on Facebook and otherwise. This is a world that we've never really fully played in. I mean, we've had live shows broadcast through YouTube, through the Podastery channel before, but we're going to be, again, we're a podcast first, not a YouTube channel.
That's right.
But we are going to try to be a little bit more intentional about, increasing this avenue for, new listeners, new viewers even to engage with the show. And
that's right.
Just going to bring more into the fold that way. So anyway, if y'all are on YouTube, and mention us, let us know. And we'll be sure to give you guys a share.
And just for housekeeping sake as well, like remember, if you're watching live, get to view or listen live, you can tweet us while we're actually doing the show live, and that's at Squire Radio. So feel free to do that. You can kind of mess around with your lovable hosts while we butcher another episode.
That's right. Join the ranks of Pappy Joe and making fun of us the entire time.
That's right.
Pappy and Mac also, by the way.
We have another.
No, they're the same. He tricked us.
Oh, he tricked us?
He tricked us.
That turkey.
he's
Big old Christmas turkey.
He's got an alias. All right, man. We've got an awesome topic that we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's kind of like the bread of the tobacco world.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I mean it's everywhere. It's kind of lurking and everything, and it's something that everyone's like, oh, I don't like that, but you kind of have to use it all the time. And of course, we're talking about Cavendish.
Cavendish.
Yeah, kind of an interesting topic. A lot of people, when they hear the word Cavendish, they're like, well, I don't smoke aromatics, and there's some misconceptions about Cavendish, but we wanted to kind of explore that a little bit tonight.
Yeah. So starting off, we've looked at different tobacco blends before, but we've also looked at kind of ingredient tobaccos, if you will.
That's right.
Spice tobaccos. Where would this fall? I mean, this would be what would be considered an ingredient.
Yeah. This is a main ingredient type tobacco. It's something you can smoke straight. But also something that can be used as an accent or a condiment tobacco. So let's start with the name, because it's really funny. Why do we call this Cavendish? It's kind of interesting. People are like, we just throw these names around and just, because they've always been that way, right? But
right.
It's actually Cavendish is a funny name. It's not a type of tobacco. Cavendish is actually basically the what we call the result of fermenting tobacco when it's either steamed or heated with a fire under pressure. Okay,
mm-hmm.
So think of it more as a process, and typically, tobaccos that go into this process are going to be burley or Virginia based.
Okay,
So, and there's a variety. You can go real deep into all that, but think of this as not a tobacco, but the result of processing a tobacco, and we call that Cavendish. Cavendish was named after Sir Thomas Cavendish.
So really,
this is an actual person, not a cartoon character. He died in 1592, and was actually one of the kind of subsequent explorers, English tradition explorers that kind of followed Sir Francis Drake. He kind of made his living like going around raiding Spanish, merchants and things like that, particularly in Pacific Ocean.
Wait, so he was a pirate?
He was more of a gentlemanly navigator that liked to steal things.
Take Sir Francis Drake.
Yeah.
What was there's actually in the Muppets Treasure Island.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be a show if I didn't derail us in a Muppets kind of way. In that movie, there's a song where they're trying to convince this young boy to be a pirate.
Right.
And they say it's all about perception. Take Sir Francis Drake, the Spanish all despised him, but to the British, he's a hero and we idolize him.
Yeah.
So it's how you look at buccaneers that make them bad or good. And I see us as members of a noble brotherhood.
And then you have Thomas Cavendish that doesn't rhyme with any of that.
It doesn't rhyme with any of it. It's unfortunate.
Very unfortunate.
Interesting.
Yeah. So kind of fascinating. Yeah. Sir Thomas Cavendish, he came back after circumnavigating the globe and was actually knighted by Elizabeth I, the most famous redheaded monarch of all time, actually. But it's funny, he died at the age of 31. Okay. So both think about someone that's essentially, around our age, that's already circumnavigated the globe, been knighted, and had a tobacco named after him. Are you feeling a little unaccomplished right now?
Especially since Yorkist Blend isn't done yet.
It's not.
I can't even knock one of those off. Man, that's pretty bad.
What he found, though, on one of his expeditions to the colonies, he was actually captaining a ship going back and forth from England to Virginia.
We have no idea what that ship name was, do we?
We can probably find that out.
Somewhere out there?
Yeah. I bet we can find that out. But he learned, imagine this, that if you took tobacco leaves and dipped them in a sugary syrup, or simple syrup kind of concentrate thing,
right, that
it would make the smoke more sweet and mellow. So he's basically the Paula Deen of tobacco.
That butter and oil.
You just got to put a little more butter, and it's like you just put some sugar on it, and it makes it a little better. And that's literally all it was. Like, think about that. Like how, if I dip the tobacco in sugar, it gets sweeter. Yeah, that sounds about right.
What a thought. Who'd have thunk it?
But that's kind of how that developed. And so anyway, the process was
hang on. We make fun of that. But at the same time, you got to think about where the mindset of it was of the pipe smoker of the day.
Yeah.
And so they got this perfectly good pipe tobacco. And all of a sudden, this guy wants to like honey it all up. They're probably making fun of, like when you order cocktails, how people make fun of you.
Yeah,
because you're getting all the sugary stuff.
Because I get like all the gin and stuff mixed with like cranberry juice.
Exactly. So it's I can see that he got a little ridicule in the early days. Right. Maybe a lot of people might have thought about it, but
it's almost like when you drink like half a Scotch whiskey and then can't even put the mic on straight. Is that how it works?
It's not the same, but good get.
Good get. No, it's interesting though. That's kind of how they developed this. I think you had a good point. Like you think about the early renditions of Navy flakes and Navy tobaccos. These are tobaccos that these sailors just had with them.
Right.
And they're on the open sea trying to figure out how to make it. Mostly probably really miserable, waiting for that next ship to plunder or whatever. and they just come up with these interesting ways. You had them obviously soak tobacco in rum. They learned how to put it in their pipe, but also to chew it and roll it even into cigars and all kinds of things. So you had these ways of experimenting, and eventually Cavendish just kind of came out of that same school.
Well, I wanted to ask you, because I know there's a lot of bourbon based or bourbon tasting or rum flavored tobaccos. 9 times out of 10, would that primarily be a Cavendish base?
Not always.
Oh, yeah.
And Cavendish is the reason most people associate Cavendish with aromatic tobaccos is because Cavendish is so easy to it is so easy to flavor. It's a very good conduit for flavor. Someone mentioned to me one time, Cavendish is kind of like we talked about the bread or the ice cube of the tobacco world. It's almost like this vehicle to get you the good stuff almost. So people take Cavendish and use it in a variety of ways, but it's not in all aromatic tobaccos, and not all Cavendish again is aromatic. You've kind of got the Dutch and the American style Cavendish, which has typically been flavored to some description. You'll see, cherry, vanilla, caramel. Just you name the flavor. Cavendish has been, flavored in that vein.
Right.
But then you've got unflavored Cavendish. Some people would refer to it as English Cavendish. I don't really hear that a lot, but it's unflavored Cavendish. And you think of just the fermented leaf itself. And the only sweetness that's there is just the natural sweetness that comes from the fermentation process, which is kind of fascinating.
That's awesome.
But anyway, when we do think of Cavendish, we think of the sweetened, but the sweetening is just part of the deal, and not always even that. You've got Cavendish, that is pressed. Basically, when they're making this stuff, they take tobacco leaves and press it into about 1 inch or 2 inches thick. Think of like kind of a pallet where you're pressing this stuff into big cakes. And then the cakes, once they're pressed under a very, very high volume of pressure, they will start to either steam it underneath. You hear steamed Cavendish, or they'll cook it over a fire, so it's like toasted Cavendish. But the idea is the pressure combined with the heat it just allows that tobacco to start to ferment, and your natural sugars get highlighted that way.
That's awesome.
And then at some point, if you want to flavor your Cavendish, which nowadays most of your Cavendish is flavored, after that process, you'll actually take it and then soak it in some kind of extract, whether it be vanilla or cherry or whatever kind of syrup you're going for. But then they'll press it again, so they'll kind of flavor it and then press it again, get that stuff in there real deep, and they can let this stuff be pressed or fermented for days or even weeks. It's not one of those things that has to go on for a whole long period of time, but it's something that it can take a while if they want it to, and just depending on the outcome you're looking for.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
I would love to see. I mean, like you say press. I mean, I've got kind of in my mind that old school barrel press. You know what I'm talking about. Actually, you've got one of those, if I'm not mistaken, don't you?
I have a press. Yeah, right. we have a press that we use here in the Squire, typically to kind of work on Virginia Perique blends, because that Perique it just does so well when it's pressed against those Virginia leaves. But yeah, you think of kind of that old fashioned press. Those of us that were fortunate enough to go on the Perique tour of the Perique factory in St. James Parish for the New Orleans Pipe Show, got to see these huge, old bourbon barrels, basically, that this stuff was pressed, very deeply in, and the juices start to oil up.
Yeah, that's what I was.
And it's that kind of idea. Bo, our friend, carver of Rocks Pipes, John Michael George, actually, who's in Papua New Guinea right now. Right. John Michael actually has made his own Cavendish over there.
That's right.
They've got an indigenous breed of tobacco in Papua New Guinea. And he, kind of bartered with some of the natives. No telling what he traded them to get these tobacco leaves. But and actually this time around is able to grow his own while he's down there. But was able to get this stuff and made his own, kind of rudimentary press, and press this stuff and then steamed it over like boiling water. I mean, what a man.
As I recall.
And then he killed a bear with his bare hand.
Killed a bear that had the strength of 2 bears. Now, as I recall, I remember hearing that the feedback on that attempt was not necessarily the tastiest of experiences.
Yeah, I didn't say anything about the quality of the Cavendish. Right.
First time's a charm.
That's right.
Not the charm, rather.
The thing that's wonderful about Cavendish, though, it's, particularly in its unflavored form, you'll find it lurking in different places. Mm-hmm. So, and in places like your Frogmorton tobaccos, or even some Scottish mixtures, or even real heavy English blends that feature real strong Latakia. I want to say either Old Dog or Balkan Blue. One of those I think has some unflavored Cavendish in it, and you'll see that quite a bit. It's just a really nice accent because it's so super smooth and just provides a little natural sweet touch to it, and it typically it'll have a nice billowy smoke to it as well, kind of like a burley.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's tasty,
man. What else about Cavendish? I was about to make a transition, but anything else you got?
I think that's all I got.
It's so cool hearing about Sir Thomas Cavendish and his Buccaneer based roots. Like that's just fantastic to me, man. Like, I love the idea that there is kind of this pirate connectivity, which reminds me of Pirates Alley. And do you know what's on Pirates Alley?
William Faulkner's house.
William Faulkner's house, man. And this is so cool. I mean, we popped in there real briefly when we were in town.
Yeah.
But his entire, where he lived has actually been converted into a bit of a bookstore.
Yeah. Pirates Alley, of course, we're talking about a street in New Orleans.
Absolutely.
And we actually at the Squire have a tobacco named after Pirates Alley. Yeah. Because that was just such a hub down there.
And you have a pipe, and you have a tobacco named after William Faulkner.
And we do,
which is great because not only can you, actually go to this man's house, but smoke tobacco based off this man.
That's right.
You can actually enjoy some of his works in the way.
How is that, Bo?
That you want to, which is if you go to audibletrial.com/CSR, you can actually get a free audiobook. In fact, if you go there, search for William Faulkner, you'll find wonderful books by William Faulkner, some of his great works. And, I've heard some people say, I don't particularly care for William Faulkner. That's fine. You can find works, authors, works from all kinds of authors, available to you at audibletrial.com/CSR. Do it today. Get yourself a free book and help out the show.
Have you ever read Faulkner, Bo?
I've like completely,
I mean, at some point in Mississippi, you have to read Faulkner, right?
In fact, I think it was actually required reading in high school. I don't remember what specifically.
The thing is, like, you know, you'll normally hear like "As I Lay Dying" or "Absalom, Absalom." The worst is "The Sound and the Fury."
I think "The Sound and the Fury" was what was required. You know,
you've got this individual in this book that can't think clearly, and Faulkner is writing his thoughts stream of consciousness for page after page. There's no punctuation.
Yeah.
And it's like that will make you drink scotch. Just trying to read that.
Oh man.
It's really insane.
You know, I like
it's just
the
a stream
sound
of consciousness. It's very hard. It's dark and it's real hard to get through for me.
I personally like the sound. I found the Fury to be a bit aggressive.
Keep going. Your Fury is always aggressive.
Oh man. All right.
This pipe is very aggressive, by the way. This I'm smoking Vowin tobacco number 14 tonight.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It's very tasty.
Good stuff. Pipe question of the week tonight. Pipe question of the week this week is brought to us by Lane 1Q. Guys, we've got a 10 of Lane 1Q that I'm looking at right now, but let me actually tell you a little bit of a story that actually plays into the Faulkner thing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I was in Oxford. I was walking. We actually parked the car in the square. We were standing at a place that was just off the square, and I mentioned that I had my pipe with me. What I didn't mention before is that I was actually smoking some Lane 1Q.
That's great, man.
Beautiful autumn weather. I'm talking about the leaves were changing from green to red to orange and everything. Had this nice little walk. I mean, it was a little cold, but I had that Lane 1Q right there to warm me up.
It's just such an easy go-to blend,
dude.
Man.
Yes,
and it's a good fall blend too. You've got elements of sweetness. The vanilla is definitely there, but it's just got a nice soft tobacco flavor too. So it's good for the changing weather and kind of getting us in the gear for the holidays.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So check it out, Lane 1Q. Look for it, try it. Let us know what you think. All right, man. Pipe question. It comes into us from Beta Griffin. From that's pretty good, Peter.
That was good.
Peter Brusa. In Atlanta, Georgia, who says, "Gentlemen, wanted to get your take on something I find very interesting, and I've yet to partake in buying a dedicated Christmas pipe. Do you guys own a Christmas pipe, one specifically for the holidays? And what are your thoughts on Christmas pipes? Also, what is your holiday blend of choice? Many thanks, and keep the smoke rings a-comin'." Man, what a great question.
Yeah, real good question. Peter, I don't personally own a Christmas pipe. You've got and I think what you're referencing there, you've got a lot of companies that come out and they'll say, this is our 2015 Christmas edition, Camoy or Savinelli, or, you go back at always the Dunhills and Petersons have them and all these kind of things. I don't, that's not something I get into. I'm real hesitant to buy a pipe with a year on it. And the reason for that personally is because as a person that can have kind of an addictive personality, I think if I buy the first year, I'm going to have to buy the next year, and then the next year, and then the next year. And so, if for some reason, you've got St. Patty's pipes with St. Patty's Day, and
sure,
there's a lot of folks that will get one of those every year, and I don't necessarily want to become one of those people because I can't afford to become one of those people.
Right.
But there is kind of a nice tradition. A lot of folks will like to hunt down a Christmas pipe from the year of their birth. And that's kind of nice.
That is nice.
So it's something to keep in mind. But I don't really have a dedicated pipe that I use at Christmas time either. It's just, I kind of use typical fare that I would use all year. I will say, in the winter, late fall, winter time, I do tend to smoke more things that feature Latakia.
Yeah.
And so the pipe selections that I make that time of year will tend to go more in that direction. Because I've got pipes that are seasoned more for, heavy English or Balkan blends, things like that.
I really love this idea. I don't have one that's dedicated for Christmas, but I think I'm going to. Yeah. Like, I really like that idea. Now, I can't do, something that came out on a certain year for that. I'm not going to fall in that category either. But I like, and actually, as I'm visualizing it, I think I kind of want a Bing's favorite, which makes a lot of sense, right? Because, of course, aside from the fact it's a gorgeous looking pipe, and I don't want to, steal your look or anything.
Does the Bing make me look hot, or do I make the Bing look hot?
Well,
get you a Bing's favorite.
It's empty at the moment.
Our friends at 7-Eleven will be very thankful.
No, but I'm just thinking, because obviously, Bing often tied to Christmas,
that
Christmas crooner
feel. Yeah, absolutely.
Not all of his movies, but several of his movies tied to the holidays.
Well, and you think Bing, he's sitting there smoking his pipe. He's maybe got a kind of a top coat on or something, and it feels real bundled up, and Christmas carols and all that kind of thing.
I love this.
It's probably a great Christmas pipe. Yeah.
I'm thinking that might be what I asked my wife for Christmas.
Hey, guess what, Bo?
What's up?
The Country Squire will be glad to order you a Bing's favorite pipe.
Well, I tell you what, at some point in the very, very near future, why don't we take a look at some few, and I'll drop a hint into Mrs. Claus's ear.
Into Mrs. Claus's ear.
And you can help her out.
Yeah, that'll work. That'll work.
Be good. But I love that idea. In fact, I actually love it so much that I you mentioned St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
I might get one of those green pipes specifically for St. Patrick.
Well, Peterson really did it up differently this year. They went, typically their stuff has just been so traditional. And this year they were like, nope, we're doing green. It's like, nope, Kermit the Frog designed this himself. And it was just a really stunning pipe. Had some Celtic knots on the top of it, really fast. Great price point too. It was like $120.
And that's really, that's nice.
Really inexpensive. But
I might actually have to keep an eye out for was it Bird and Bear?
Yeah.
That dude,
our buddy Danny Vasquez
always puts out some incredible work, and I remember some of his greener pipes.
Yeah, and he likes to use a lot of green and Japanese Cumberland as well. So kind of interesting, different takes there. But
Danny, be thinking about me as you're making some future pipes.
Danny's
I know they go quick. So
he also mentions a Christmas tobacco. Like I said, around this time of year, or Christmas time, I'll start smoking more blends that just have a little more roasted dark fire, Latakia type campfire smell to them. And so that, in some ways will dictate what pipe I smoke. But, a go-to blend for me, even though it doesn't have Latakia, though, I always have to say, if you don't annually get your, tin of Christmas cheer,
yep.
You're missing out. So, and I recommend you do, I highly recommend you do what I do. I always highly recommend you do exactly what I do. And then tell everyone that you got it from me, unless it's embarrassing. But get you a tin of Christmas cheer. So this year, get you a tin of 2015 Christmas cheer. But open the one you open is not that one. Open the one from the year before. And so if you buy a can this year, put that can back, and next year for 2016, open that 26 or buy a 2016 tin of Christmas cheer and open the 2015. Christmas cheer is always a nice Virginia. That year will give it an opportunity to mature and mellow and really marry up nicely. And you'll be very, very pleased you did.
You once gave me some tobacco that was like a mint chocolate. That wasn't Christmas cheer, I don't think.
That was not. No, that was not. That was just kind of a promotion thing we were trying out for a while.
It was really good.
Yeah, some people liked it. It wasn't like a huge hit, so we didn't keep it around. But it might be something we revisit sometime.
Yeah, I want to see that.
A mint idea. You hear a lot of people are like, how do we sneak mint into pipe tobacco?
Right,
and I think there's a place for that, but I haven't fully figued out the best way to go about that.
I want to try that again. Yeah. In my new Bing's favorite.
Matter of fact, if we have any listeners that have a blend that features mint, I'd be really interested to know. I know McClellan makes Captain Cool, which has some mint in it, I believe. And we're not talking about menthol. I mean, menthol, don't think menthol cigarette. Think like, bright spearmint kind of thing. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, anyway, kind of interesting.
Good stuff.
Good question.
Excellent question. Really appreciate that, Peter. And hey, if you've got a pipe question of the week, send it in csr@podastery.com. It's actually going to change in the near future to show@countrysquireradio.com.
Oh,
yeah. It's kind of cool.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. But it hasn't yet. So keep it. Quick fire questions. Ow! This comes in from our good friend, your good friend, Mr. Steve Davenport.
Look at him.
Appreciate it, Steve. He is writing in and saying, a few quick fire questions I came up with from a mashup of my favorite book and movies, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Wow.
Now, he sent in enough of these mashups.
There's a lot going on here.
Oh, absolutely. But it's a lot of great taste, but they all taste great together. And he actually sent in so many of them, we're going to split them up over 2 episodes as we've done in the past.
Okay, great.
All right. Ready for this?
Yep, bring it.
Okay. Vader, as in of the Darths.
Right.
Or Barbosa. Captain Barbosa, which was the first mate of the Black Pearl, who ended up, mutinying and was the primary villain of the first Pirates of the Caribbean films.
I have to go with Vader, but let's respect the fact that Barbosa probably smoked a pipe.
Yes, not on screen, but I mean,
did he not on screen?
I don't think so.
I mean, it is Disney nowadays. So,
who was it? Davy Jones, of course, smoked a pipe, but I think he was the only one heavily featured anyway smoking a pipe in that franchise. But you got to imagine that Barbosa.
What kind of pipe would Vader smoke?
You think he could slip in between the masks?
One of those, right? It's like he might be more of a vape guy.
Yeah. I can't imagine Vader being able to pull that off. So from that angle, I guess you give it to Barbosa on a technicality.
Yeah. I mean, but let's go with Vader.
Overall, Vader. I mean, he's the classic movie villain, so you got to give it to him. But Barbosa was really, I mean, excellent character, even with some of the stuff they did with him in the later films. Yeah. Like the standalone film that came out. I can't remember what it was. Or even just, they I think had 2 different standalone films that came out after the trilogy, in which Hector, he essentially became Blackbeard. Like, I think he took control.
I'm not familiar with that.
This is like, most people are not, because they tried to kind of keep the franchise going. And in fact, they actually have a new movie coming out. But they took the character, or the real life character of Blackbeard, and kind of gave him some fantastic elements, like he had control over zombies. I mean, it's a little weird, for being honest. But in the end, Hector Barbosa ends up taking command of the Queen Anne's Revenge, and essentially becoming the new Blackbeard, which is a nod to the fact that Hector Barbosa was actually based off the real life Blackbeard.
That's fascinating. Yeah.
So kind of interesting stuff.
Like how they tied that in.
But as fascinating as all that is, you got to give it to Vader all the way, all the way. All right. Next, Princess Leia or Elizabeth Swann.
Gosh, they're both really hot.
Well, there's more to them than that, but at the same time, we were teenagers when we all saw Return of the Jedi.
That is true. That is true.
There is that aspect that you can't.
Again, just as the purist, I kind of, I would lean towards Princess Leia, but I don't know, Elizabeth Swann. She's got her merit.
Both of them can handle their own, which is great. I'm especially right now raising 2 girls. I'm a sucker for strong female characters. Princess Leia, leader of the rebellion. Actually a commander. I don't think commander in terms of rank, but definitely one who is commanding on the battlefield.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm going to have to give it to Leia.
Yeah, I think so.
Elizabeth Swann, fascinated with pirates, made a lot of really poor life decisions. But at the same time, that put her into. She wanted a life of adventure, so she made a lot of bad decisions in order to get there. So
she accomplished her goal.
That's what you can say about her. But Princess Leia all the way. And then finally, and these are in the same world here, Gimli or Legolas?
Legolas.
Gimli.
I'm gonna have to go with Legolas.
Really?
Yeah. I can't exactly explain, but I'm just gonna have to go with Legolas.
No elfin way.
He's more no elfin way. Shut the front door. He's more versatile. I think he's a more interesting character to me.
He is. He's versatile. He's quick.
He's quick.
He surfs down stairways.
He's got more interesting, kind of spidey senses and special powers.
It's because you got the long. Well, Gimli's got the long hair too.
Frankly, I look more like Gimli.
That's more accurate,
right? Yeah. I mean, let's be honest.
I'm when it comes down to dwarves versus elves, I am dwarves all the way. I mean, obviously the short, stocky thing, that's I can kind of feel that. I can relate to dwarves from that standpoint. As a fan of the Hobbit, the book, and the films to a large extent, I really love the character of the dwarves and the mythology that's there, especially if you kind of look at the Viking roots of kind of Norse mythology.
That is really nice.
Some amazing things there. So, elves. Cool, not going to bash them at all, but between an elf and a dwarf, I'm going to choose a dwarf every time. So definitely going to give it. Now, let me ask you this. Do you say dwarf or dwarf?
It's a dwarf. Plural is dwarves.
I think actually Tolkien's they're dwarves, but I think it's a dwarf.
Really?
I want to say that.
Even though it's not spelled that way.
I think it's pronounced that way.
Huh.
You know what? Let's pitch this one up to Twitter later on.
Okay.
And we'll see the feedback we get. We'll put it on Facebook too.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so there you go.
Good questions.
Excellent questions. Anything like this where it kind of pulls from some franchises that we get behind, those are always fun. All right, listener feedback this week. We've got an email in from Jeff. John David, would you mind reading that one?
Let me make sure I have the correct one.
It's the first one up there.
Got it. Listener feedback comes from Jeff. He says, "Hi, Bo and JD. I've been meaning to email you for a while to tell you how great your show is. I find it difficult being across the pond, finding the time to watch the live show tend to only listen to the podcast, although I've watched before. I thought I should let you know that the audio quality in the episodes inside the shop was still very good in my humble opinion. I would say objectively that shows in the shop are therefore a great idea. The show is a staple part of my weekly ritual. I would go so far as to say my week just wouldn't be the same without it." Man, that's high praise. The show is so engaging. I echo the sentiments of other listeners in that I truly feel like I'm in the room with you guys, having a pipe and engaging in thoughtful conversation. I very often find myself laughing out loud on the commute home. Keep up the good work and take care, Jeff at Jeff Jessup on Twitter. Thank you so much, brother. That's great. Thanks for inviting us into your lives, and and thanks for listening from across the pond.
Yeah, that feedback in particular was really great and kind of helped us, I think, somewhat solidify the In the Shop show as an ongoing thing. At least indefinitely.
It's been, yeah. I mean, it's been, we've been very affirmed in this, this trial.
Absolutely. Next comes in, it's an iTunes review from Gin Tonic with a silent D, by the way.
Gin Tonic, silent D.
Yeah. It says, long lost family from way down south. What to say that has already not been said? Solid production, excellent content. Each episode, I learned something else that I've been wondering about for years. When I think I have a potential pipe question of the week, John David inevitably throws down the knowledge in that very next episode before I even get a chance to submit. I wish I had this podcast years ago. I really feel I truly enjoy my pipe now more than ever, especially Hunting Creek paired with Bushmills. But I digress. Good stuff here from Bo and John David. I will binge listen at work every day until I'm caught up. And some days, perhaps, I will make my pipe pilgrimage.
Man, that sounds nice. Thank you so much, Gin Tonic.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. That's extremely high praise.
I'm glad you're enjoying the Hunting Creek too. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, we that's one of our most complex blends here in the shop. We sell quite a bit of that.
That's good, man. Well, we always love getting this kind of feedback, and I say it all the time. I want to really just let it hit home today.
Yeah.
We love getting this kind of feedback. We love getting the emails. We've got some great emails from you. We've got kind of a backlog, honestly, at this point, which is wonderful. And look forward to combing through those and making sure that we get to all of y'all's feedback from the email standpoint. But man, those iTunes reviews, they really go a long way. Mm-hmm. And so if you're listening and you have not yet written us an iTunes review, this is the time. This is the episode. You should stop what you're doing right now. Head over to iTunes, create an account if you don't have one, write us a review. And once you're all done with that, download, subscribe to the podcast through Satchel.
That's right. That's exactly right.
The Satchel podcast player for Android. It's actually coming to iOS very soon. This is kind of special, got the developer of that application sitting here in the actual shop right now. How crazy is that? So be sure to check that out. The satchelplayer.com. You can download the podcast player, or you can sign up to be notified once it becomes available. We also want to encourage you to engage with us throughout the week. You can, of course, follow us on Twitter. I'm at The Real Bo York.
I'm at John David Cole. And you can get us at the shop at @_Country Squire.
And then the shop's Twitter handle, of course, or the show's Twitter handle, of course, is @Squire Radio.
Yeah.
Now, all that information and more can be found at countrysquireradio.com.
Dude, this was fun.
Man, excellent episode.
Yeah, let's nerd out about tobacco more often, man.
Dude, and discover that Cavendish is named after a dude that was essentially a pirate.
Yeah.
Might be a little bit of a stretch from what you said, but I'm going to hold on to it.
He was knighted for plundering Spaniards.
And then we lost our Spanish listeners.
And then we lost all of our Spanish listeners. Right.
Oh my God. I'd like to apologize to the good folks over in Spain listening.
That's right.
Look, we really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to like or subscribe on the YouTube channel to be part of that contest. And besides that, man, let's go have a night.
See you, brother.
All right, guys. Thank you all so much. If
fun.
You are tuning in live and you haven't subscribed,
I'm
sure you probably already have, but go ahead and do that and tweet us letting us know that you have. And
yep.
We'll see you guys soon.
Bye, y'all. Good night.